Gratitude has a branding problem. And for some people, it sounds like settling, honestly. Like if you're grateful, you're supposed to stop wanting more, stop pushing, stop trying to succeed, and stop trying to be more. But for other people, gratitude feels fake. It feels like forced positivity used to basically to shut people up when you just when they're complaining too much, when life is too hard and they just won't stop. It's like this just be grateful. Oh my goodness, you just need to be grateful. Don't complain. People who are grateful aren't being realistic, and that's what that this complaint is. They're like, they're like the forced positivity, and when you're like just be grateful, it results in people feeling like it's not realistic, like there's issues out there, and I'm having a hard time right now, and crap is happening and life is difficult, and it's not possible for me to be grateful right now. And so when people are like just be grateful, it truly isn't helpful. But fake positivity and that forced gratitude, and also the mindset of I want to be more, so why do I need to be grateful for where I am? Both of these views are wrong. So what if gratitude isn't about denying where we're at and denying what we're going through, and it's not about killing ambition, but it's more about changing basically the radio frequency that we're operating on? And what if it's not the opposite of growth and progress, but what if it's the actual thing that creates growth and progress? We all know that research says that grateful people are happier, they're more fulfilled, they're more content, they experience more peace, more meaning in their lives, more fulfillment. And our instinct about that, when people say just be grateful or express gratitude, is to roll our eyes and be like, that's naive. Why would I do that? It's so naive. But is it? Most of us want more joy. We want more peace. We want fulfillment. Then maybe the question isn't why gratitude. Maybe the question is why we're so resistant to that gratitude. In this episode, I want to redefine gratitude, not as forced positivity, not as complacency, but as a mindset that allows us to honor what we have already, and to allows us to pursue where we're going without shaming ourselves or shaming other people in the process. So basically, what is gratitude? Gratitude to me is a mindset that many successful people adopt. It's a mindset that people, and I'm not just talking about like financial success, I'm talking about people who are successful in their relationships and who are reaching the goals that they want to reach in many areas of life. People who truly understand the importance of gratitude, they're less miserable and they get more of what they want. Most of us want to experience joy and peace. We want to be fulfilled. And I've already said that several times now. We want to be happy. We want more. And it's not bad. And honestly, gratitude, like, why not try gratitude? The research is on our side. And I talk about, I will talk about frequency and abundance occasionally. Like, frequency and energy, these are words that do make me a little bit uncomfortable. I do believe that they are important, though. And when I talk about frequency, like, think about, and I've mentioned this before, I believe, but think about like country music is playing in the air around me, but I'm not tuned into the right frequency to hear it. And gratitude is a frequency. It is a level of, it's an attitude that we have in our lives. It's a level of energy that allows us to receive and to give. And when I talk about abundance, the reason the word abundance makes me uncomfortable is not abundance itself. I love abundance itself, but the abundance mindset. There's the community around the abundance mindset, which is it's a great community, but sometimes it's a little, yes, naive. I hate saying that, but some of the people I've talked to that are all about have an abundant mindset, and they don't allow others to experience bad things. And like I was saying in my episode on what was that episode on? One of my previous episodes, I was basically talking about how sometimes like mindset coaches will be like, well, you just didn't believe enough, right? And they don't acknowledge that sometimes things are really, really difficult. And I don't believe that it's impossible to be grateful even when things are hard. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but gratitude for what you have and for what's coming is very important. Like, if you're not grateful for where you are right now and the progress that you've already made and the things that you have, like, we live in one of the, or actually is the most abundant, most wealthy society that has ever existed. And if we can't be grateful for what we have, like you have a house or you have an apartment, you're not living in a tent. You're not living in a little, I don't know, think about like if you read Laurie Ingalls Wilder, like the little muddy hole in the bank of the creek that they lived in. I mean, we have so much more than many people across all of civilization have ever had. And we struggle with gratitude. We struggle with recognizing where our blessings are coming from and the fact that we even have them. And so, I'm sorry, gratitude is for what we have, but it's also for what's coming. And why can't we be grateful for what we're going to be getting in the future? Like, why can't we look at where we are and look at where we want to go and be grateful that we've already reached those goals? I believe that that is actually a very important part of reaching goals, is to be grateful ahead of time for them. So let's talk about forced positivity for a minute. Gratitude is not that. A truly grateful heart will still see and feel negative emotions. Hard things will still happen. But our time in those difficult seasons will be shorter. And like last March, one of the quotes that hit me the hardest last March when I was going through my everything just falling apart all over the place, the quote that hit me the hardest was this: when time ceases to exist, it no longer is a tool for learning. And I was like, oh my gosh, because every day back then was a trial, every single day. Like, I prayed that each day would end, and they were interminably long, like years it felt like each day. And I was like, I just cannot wait to get back to the point where days are flying by again. And that quote hit me so hard: when time ceases to exist, it is no longer a tool for learning. So when you are struggling with time and it's going so slow, it's because you're still in a period of time where you are learning, where you're growing, where waiting is important. It's important for us to learn that there's the process and there's a progress that we need to go through in order to reach our goals. Anyway, so I had zero desire last March, to be grateful. I vacillated between pain and panic attacks, and I stopped eating, and there was no room for gratitude. Like, I was just absolutely miserable. And it wasn't just like physical misery, it was emotional and psychological, and like everything. It was just really, really incredibly challenging. And I started seeing a specialty therapist because, like, I lost 9 pounds in a week, and that's a lot when you're only like 15 pounds overweight. I am 15 pounds overweight, and gosh, man, 9 pounds was really great, right? One side of me was celebrating, but the other side was like, this is dangerous. This is not healthy. 9 pounds in a week is not healthy. It doesn't matter who you are. That is not healthy. And I started seeing a specialty therapist to help me get through. Like, I'd wake up in the middle of the night just absolutely panicked, and I wouldn't fall asleep until 5 or 6 in the morning some nights. And my specialty therapist was like, tell God you're grateful for your trials. I was like, are you insane? Why on earth? Like, that's asking for more, isn't it? And she had me read a book that's called From Prison to Praise. And it's about this guy who basically screwed up his life, and he ended up in prison, and he had like all sorts of, he was just not in a good place. And I can't remember all the details. It's just a tiny little pamphlet that this guy wrote. And he ended up recognizing while he was in prison, the importance of thanking God for his trials, basically. And so he started teaching people to praise God for the trials that they are experiencing instead of resenting. And it was, oh my gosh, guys, it was so incredibly hard. I mean, I can't even tell you how difficult it was. I'm like, it's not fair. Why should I be grateful? I did not do anything wrong. Like, the things that happened to me were totally outside of my control. And why should I be grateful for that? Like, why? I mean, I can't even tell you, like, I mean, ask my husband. Like, we were both going through this at the same time. And like, we knelt down and we expressed gratitude for the trials we were going through. And I didn't feel it, guys. I did not feel it, but I honestly believe it shortened my time in mourning, and the anxiety and the depression and the despair. Oh my gosh, the endless despair I felt. And I believe that my ability, which wasn't even, it didn't hit me here, but I was saying the words and it was in my brain. I believe that my ability to express gratitude shortened that horrible, horrible period that we went through. And I felt like that period would never end, but it did. Does it still hurt? Does what I went through still hurt? Oh my gosh, yes, still, definitely. I still cry regularly about what we went through, but I am no longer praying for each day to end. And I'm feeling more like myself. I feel more at peace. And again, yes, I do still have times where I just like, like I'm like writing in my journal, I just start to cry, and I'm like, I have to get those feelings out on paper. I have to get them out, but I'm no longer there every single day. And I honestly believe, like when talking to friends, men and women, or just listening to people talk about what I went through and hearing their experiences years later, they're still in that despair and they're still in that depression. And I'm coming on 10 months now. Yeah, 10 months, a couple days ago, and I'm still like I'm back to feeling like myself, and it's not every day, but most of the time it is. And honestly, like I can actually express gratitude for what I went through, because I honestly believe it led to me being more well-rounded. My experience, like my life, like I have so much more compassion for people who are experiencing what my husband and I went through. I just really, really feel more compassion. And then when it comes to gratitude and contentment, like the belief that if I'm grateful for where I am, it means I'm not willing or not open to receive more. It means that I'm not going to continue progressing. And I honestly believe that that is a fallacy. God wants us to become more. And it doesn't remove the need for gratitude, like the divine discontent that I believe it comes from God, that he gave us like all of these skills and all of these talents, and he gave them to us for a reason. He wants us to strengthen them. He wants us to grow. He wants us to become more. And gratitude is so important for that. And I believe that there's a difference between a lack of gratitude and wanting to be more, and that resentment that you're not more, and that discontent, and where gratitude comes in. The gratitude that, and the opposite side of that is being grateful for where you are and grateful for the talents and skills that you have, and wanting to develop them more and wanting to be more. It's okay for us to be grateful and still want more. It's okay for us to be challenged and to grow and to receive better results. Like all of those things, they go together. And the more grateful you are for what you have and where you are in the progress that you've already made, the faster that progress continues and the more you're able to receive. So the two times when people say just be grateful, it's when things suck. So when life is absolutely difficult and you're complaining, you're like, why is this happening to me? And people are like, just be grateful. And it's also when we're discontent, like, gosh, I really do wish I could have more. I wish that I had more of a bigger income. I wish that my books were selling more. I wish that readers would respond better to my books. And people are like, just be grateful. You actually have books published. You actually have readers. And I'm like, okay, so they do have a point. Like, I think that's awful. I think it's a really rude thing to say to people, but they do have a point. And that does not mean go out and tell people to be grateful. Like, that's like one of the worst things you can say. Like when I'm experiencing miscarriages and people are like, just be grateful you have kids. Like, that is like one of the worst things you can say to somebody. Just be grateful. But it's a mindset adjustment. Like, being able to express gratitude even when things suck, even when we do want to be more, when we do want to continue to progress. Like, that is a mindset adjustment, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time to get through and to realize in our lives. And it doesn't mean that those people say just be grateful are right in giving you that kind of advice. And I honestly believe the people who say just be grateful, they haven't experienced the depths that those of us who have been told just be grateful have. And my personality is, I do tend towards the more optimistic. I'm very realistic. I'm not like a complete positivity, positive person, but I do tend to go more towards enthusiasm and more towards excitement for life. But even I have experienced really awful times where I can't feel grateful, and telling me to just be grateful is incredibly damaging. So the mindset adjustment, I want to talk about how to adjust your mindset, and how to know you're in a bad place when it comes to gratitude. And did I already share the quote? Nope, I did not. Let me see. I'll go into it in a little bit. So we're going to talk about basically how you know that you're in a bad mindset, like when you're in a bad place when it comes to gratitude. So I've got a bullet point list right here. So the first thing is you're constantly moving the goalpost. What I mean by that is you're not allowing yourself to get there or to feel peace. You're like, well, it's basically the grass is greener on the other side. Like, you don't recognize what you already have because you don't have what you want. And so it's a lack of gratitude. Also, chronic irritation or resentment. So if you're chronically irritated at people, if you're chronically resentful of other people or of yourself, or why am I not better, or why am I not farther along, that is a lack of gratitude, because you don't recognize how far you've come. You don't recognize that when you're grateful for, or when you recognize that other people are doing well, like you resent other people, it opens you up to receive also. Let's see. Fixation on what's missing. So when you fixate on what's missing, you are exhibiting a lack of gratitude. Like, gosh, if only I had this, or gosh, if I had this, I'd be so much happier. If I had more time, I would be happier. If I had more money, I would be happier. But guys, you have as much time as everybody else. And fixating on what you're missing shows a lack of gratitude for what you do have. Like, maybe you don't have as much money as so and so, but how much money do you actually have? Like, are you grateful for what every single dollar that is in your bank account? Are you grateful for where you are? Are you grateful for the house that you do have, not instead of being ungrateful for what you don't have? Oops, as I hit my microphone. Feeling entitled is the next thing on my list. So a lack of gratitude leads to feeling entitled. Like, why don't I have this? I should have this. I deserve this. I've worked hard. Yeah, but that doesn't recognize the gestational period. Sometimes working towards your goals requires a lot of time. And sometimes your goals are just not going to come because you're not feeling grateful for what you do have. Like, why would you get a promotion at work if you're not grateful for the money that you're already getting? Like, people at work, they can sense that lack of that feeling of entitlement. They can sense that lack of gratitude. And God especially, like, why would he open up his hand to give us more if we're not grateful for what he's already given us? One of the things that my husband talks about frequently is when he's struggling with gratitude, and like, gosh, like he's miserable and he's resenting that he's not in a better place. Like he will stop and be like, what about Viktor Frankl? You know, the guy who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, or Man's Search for whatever that one, Man's Search for, I can't remember what it's called, but he's talking about how important it is to have a positive mindset while he's in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany or wherever it was. I think he was in Poland. I can't remember exactly where, but my husband's like, I have a house and I have children and I have clothes and I have cars and I have food, and why am I struggling? And it's because like we fall into this trap of feeling entitled, or fixating on what's missing, or like just resenting that we don't have more, and it's not recognizing what we do have. Like it's a massive issue. And the next thing that's on my list is difficulty celebrating wins in yours and others. When we have a lack of gratitude, it's impossible for us to celebrate with other people. It's impossible for us to celebrate our own wins. It's impossible for us to win more because we're not celebrating what we already have. And so, like seeing somebody else get a raise at work or get a promotion at work, and if we can't celebrate that with them, then it's a lack of gratitude. Which, like, why would somebody give you a promotion or give me a promotion if I can't celebrate other people's wins? And when somebody else is struggling to get, when somebody else makes like 100,000 a year or 7,000 or 7 figures a year in books, and a lot of authors, they'll look at that and they'll like, oh, why are they getting that and I'm not? Like, that this author just proved to us that it is possible to make 100,000 a year or 7 figures a year on books. Celebrating that win is something that is good for us. It helps us open up that gratitude. And so if you can't celebrate when other people win, or if you can't celebrate your own wins, that definitely shows a lack of gratitude. Okay, so the next one kind of goes along with feeling entitled, and that's assuming that effort should automatically equal reward, and it doesn't. And like if we're expecting effort to equal reward immediately, like that ignores the gestational period, that ignores our growing period, that ignores the things that have to fall into place in order for us to reach the goals that we have. And that is a lack of gratitude. Let's see, frequent comparison. And so comparison, there is an element of, everybody talks about comparison is really bad, but I believe that there's an element of comparison that is actually good. But if you're in the side of comparison where you're like that entitled, that resentment, why did they get it? I don't. That's a lack of gratitude. But I believe that there is a comparison that can inspire us. And it's when we see somebody doing what we want and we celebrate that win with them, and it's inspiring. It makes us want to go and try harder so that we can also experience that as well. Interpreting delays as negatives instead of part of the process. I've talked about this already. So we lack great gratitude when we can't recognize that we are progressing and we are in part of this process that starts with a tiny seed and ends up with a big tree in the end. And we want to go from that tiny seed to the big tree, and we totally want to like skip over all the middle steps that lead up to that big tree in the end. And a lack of gratitude, it sees the delays and thinks that they're horrible and that they're negatives, instead of recognizing that they're part of the process, and they're actually a very important part of the process. Okay, let's see. Viewing rest or reflection as wasted time, including healing. So, like I was saying earlier, like going through that horrible period last year, I did not want that time to heal. I wanted to be over it. I wanted to be done. I wanted to get through. And I did not have gratitude for the rest and the reflection. And I recognized it. I thought of it as wasted time. I'm like something's wrong with me. Why have I not healed yet? And rest and reflection are super, super important. They're part of that gestational period. They're part of being able to slow down. And if we cannot slow down, and if we cannot rest, if we can't take time to reflect, it actually limits our ability to grow, because that go, that hustle culture, which I love hustle culture, guys. Like it's very hard for me not to want to just go. I love go. But even I've come to recognize that the time to heal and that time to reflect and that time to rest is just as important to the progress and the success as the go, as the times when I'm working really hard. And if we can't recognize that rest and reflection is important, it's not wasted time, then we are experiencing a lack of gratitude. And then last, feeling emotionally numb to good news. I know that this is something that people do struggle with. And if you, like, good news happens and you're like, oh, whatever, or you blow it off, or you just don't even acknowledge that it happened, like, that is a lack of gratitude. So I don't even know how to say this guy's name. The guy who wrote Crime and Punishment, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Okay, my husband knows how to say it. Okay, so the quote that he gives is, the best way to keep a prisoner from escaping is to make sure he never knows he's in prison. And Bob Proctor always would say, you can't break out of a prison you don't know you're in. And Fyodor's quote, like, basically, people, if they don't realize they're in a prison, they'll never break out of it. And so if you normalize that prison and you make it look like this is the best it's going to be, or you make it look like this is the way everybody is, even the successful people, then that makes it so that those people do not have the ability to break free from whatever's holding them down. And with this, it's you can't break out of a prison you don't know you're in. If you don't recognize that you have any of those mindset shift things, any of the mindset things that I just went over, if you don't recognize yourself in them, or if you refuse to see yourself in them, then it's a prison that you're not going to be able to break out of. You don't even know that you are in a prison. And if you heard that listener, like, yeah, well, I have a reason to be resentful. Yeah, I have a reason to be angry. I have a reason to not celebrate other people's wins. I have a reason to feel the way I feel. That's fine. You can feel that way, but you're also not allowing yourself to recognize the prison that you're in. You're not allowing yourself to grow and to progress. And there is that period of time where things really truly do suck, and you cannot ignore your emotions during that time, where you have to actually acknowledge the horrible things that you're going through. You have to heal, you have to process, and you have to get through that trauma. But if you're stuck there, and if you're not allowing yourself to progress because you're like punishing somebody or you're punishing yourself, then that is a prison that you are stuck in. And being grateful, a lack of gratitude is a prison that you don't know you're in, and being grateful and shifting your mindset is breaking out of that prison. A lot of the ways to break out of the mindset issues that I just shared, they're going to feel trite, and they're going to feel simple, and they're going to feel like idealistic, but like sometimes the easiest things, sometimes the best answers are trite, and sometimes they are simple, and sometimes they are idealistic. But guys, like, just because they're easy sounding and just because they're trite and simple does not mean they don't work. I absolutely promise they do work. And if you're in the middle of trauma, like if you're in the middle of the horrible time, give yourself some grace. Like this is not the time to like to redo your entire world. But maybe it is a time, if you're listening to this right now, and maybe this is hitting you, maybe it is a time to just shift your mindset just a little bit. Simple things do work. And the reason, like, a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they're like, I want that silver bullet that's going to make me super successful. And I would be like, well, this is what you need to do. And it's really simple on paper. It's very unsatisfying to them because I want you to tell me, push these keys, and boom, this unknown thing, this awesome key that they're going to push is going to create all of this success and all this wealth and all these readers reading their books. And it's not that way, but it is that way. So like we hear, express gratitude or be grateful for where you're at. And like, okay, so that sounds really easy, but it's actually very difficult in practice. And so similar to with the clients that I work with, when they come to me and they're like, how do I do this? I'm like, well, it's this. They're like, well, yeah, but that's not glamorous. It's not glamorous. It's simple. It's very straightforward, but it's difficult. And sometimes the difficult things are the things that we need to do. And they are simple and they are trite and they are idealistic, but they are also important. So if you catch yourself in a negative mindset, like one of the things like constantly moving the goal or fixating on what's missing or feeling entitled or unable to celebrate with others, like part of the shift, part of the important thing to do is to recognize that you're there and to stop yourself from continuing. And you might not be able to shift into gratitude right away, but just stopping that train of thought and distracting yourself and making it a habit to not go down that trail. And guys, there is a certain dopamine response to negativity. Like we can become addicted to negative thinking, and it's very hard to break it. But if you recognize that thinking negative, it feels good, but it's not serving you, it's not getting where you want to go, you're going to have to break that cycle. And so when you start down that negative thought, you start down that entitlement, the resentment, the like, I did it, why haven't I received my reward? You stop that process from going, and then you just don't follow it. And then gradually you can shift in until you are breaking that negative habit, that addiction, and putting it into more gratitude. And it is a process, and it does require practice, and it's not going to happen just overnight. Be gentle with yourself. Like I said, gratitude is a practice. That means there's room to grow. That means you're not going to be perfect at it. That means you're going to have to practice it. You're going to have to keep working at it. And it's going to be little things at first. And gradually it'll lead to bigger things. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. And then also recognize that it's okay if you take a step backwards. It's okay if you forget to express gratitude. It's okay if you stop and you are resentful again. Like, all of this is important, and it's even more important not to bottle those emotions and not to expect yourself to be perfect. So I like to focus on the things that, like in this podcast, I like to focus on the beliefs and the mindsets and how to, like the common ones, the bad ones, how to shift them into good mindset and good beliefs so that your actions will follow. Because once you have that mindset and the belief that you can actually do stuff and you can actually be effective, then your actions will follow, and that will naturally lead you into more success. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But one of the actions that I want you guys to take is to write down 3 things that you're grateful for every single day. And I've been doing that months now. Not every single day. I've been doing it almost daily for several months, like 6-8 months. It makes a huge difference. I've been doing it every single day for about 40 days now. No, actually, 55 days. I've got these little pieces of paper that I write down. I'm on day 38 of that, but I was doing it before I printed those papers off, for about 2 weeks before that. So you guys can do the math, but, it's simple. And it's super effective. But, and in the beginning, you're just going to be writing down things that you're grateful for. But I want you guys to gradually put emotion into it. I want you to like feel that feeling of gratitude, the heartwarming feeling. I want you to get used to feeling that, and don't overcomplicate your lists, your 3 things. It can be big things. Like sometimes I'll put Nolan down, or I'll put our kids down, put my family down, put our house down, big things like that. But sometimes I just put down small things. Like my editor gave me this little journal, and I'm really grateful for that. So I've been writing in my journal my 3 things, and today I wrote about that journal because I was like, I've got this journal and I absolutely love it. And then of course my editor was on there too, and she's one of the big things. But don't overcomplicate your list of the things that you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be super big. And again, like I said, I like to talk about the results that you're going to achieve by shifting your mindset, which will shift your actions, which will shift your results. And I truly believe it will lead to success. And it might not be immediate, but again, belief to action leads to success. And there are places where you will see immediate success. I believe experiencing gratitude and expressing gratitude will lead to quick, faster mental health. And it depends on how deep down you are, but even a slight shift can produce day-to-day results, more peace, more positive inner talk, more less depression, less anxiety. And also, like, it can lead to more success in your relationships, because if you're grateful for your marriage, if you're grateful for your children, if you're grateful for your friends, if you're grateful and you express gratitude to them, that will build your relationships up. It will lead to better relationship, better marriage, better, I keep saying the word relationship, better relationships with your kids. It'll lead to better friendships. It'll lead to success, basically, in your relationships. And finances. And why not? Why can't expressing finances lead to more finances? When you express gratitude for your relationships, they grow. When you express gratitude for your mental health grows. So why not believe that if you express gratitude for your finances will grow? I honestly do believe that. And I just, like, every day I pray and I'm grateful for every single dollar that's in my bank account, and that those dollars, they have stretched. And we went a whole year, and I've told this before, a whole year without an income, and the money that we had, like, oh man, the gratitude, like, I truly do believe that God provides for us, and when we recognize what He's doing for us, we will receive more. Anyway, so gratitude isn't pretending that things are fine. It's choosing to notice what's already holding you up, what's already keeping you afloat, what's already keeping you alive and sustaining you day to day while you continue progressing and while you continue moving forward. You can be grateful and you can still want more. You can acknowledge pain and still be grateful. You can even pause in your gratitude and allow yourself to heal and allow yourself to get through trauma and continue progressing beyond that and go back into gratitude. But if gratitude feels hard right now, that doesn't mean you're failing. It really doesn't. It means that you are, it means you're human, basically. It really does. So start where you are, be gentle with yourself, and see what changes when gratitude becomes a daily practice.